Welcome to the Winners Find a Way show and podcast with your host, Trent M. Clark, three-time World Series coach, CEO of Leadershipity, serial entrepreneur, having started 12 companies, coach to the 1%, and an international speaker. This show is going to be your go-to podcast for facing adversity, being inspired, and overcoming obstacles, all from the best in the world, business, sports, and leadership. Hate the crappy ingredients in many beverages and energy drinks? Rebellious Infusions are the go-to functional beverage. They have 5 or fewer plant-based organic ingredients, no sugar, no calories, loaded with antioxidants to boost your immune system, and L-theanine for brain health. Rebellious Infusions are available at drinkrebellious.com. Rethink your drink. For 10% off of your next purchase, use the code 99999.
Hi, this is Trent Clark, CEO of Leadershipity, serial entrepreneur, international speaker, longtime coach in professional baseball coaching in 3 World Series. Today on the Winners Find a Way show, I welcome my guest, Justin Breen. Justin, how are you, man?
Yeah, man, go Sox.
We're right in the middle of the playoffs. It's not often I talk to a Northbrook guy who likes the Sox, all right?
Well, so my bloodline is half Shore, half North Shore liberal elite, and half pure white trash. And I think the pure white trash side's more with the White Sox, and then it's really helped with entrepreneurship as well. I'm very thankful for the half pure white trash side of my bloodline, for sure.
Yeah. Your work ethic, your hardcore. I got a few things, Justin, before we get going talking about you on the Winners Find a Way show. Tell them where they can find you online.
I have about 27,000 followers on LinkedIn, so Justin Breen on LinkedIn. It's a good place to start.
I love your gratitude. I love how you roll that out. Like, you roll that out on the daily?
5 days a week. Do a grateful journal to my wife 7 days a week. I just passed the year anniversary of doing that every day for a year. I run 6 days a week outside, no matter the weather conditions. So I live in Chicago, so I've done that for 18 plus years. You know, cold, hot, rain, blizzards, doesn't matter. And then I do the grateful journal on LinkedIn 5 days a week. Because when you're constantly grateful, you can't be ungrateful. And when my entire life is good habits and good patterns, you can't have bad habits and bad patterns. It's pretty simple.
Nice. I love it. In other words, you're a doer, Justin. Is that fair?
Well, so my strength finders, top 3 are activate, maximize, achieve. So there's no overthinking. There's no feeling. I'm dead last in empathy and second to last in includer. So the newest company I just launched is a high price point invite only connectivity platform, basically LinkedIn without the BS, because I don't have time for the BS. But if I have a good idea, I'm also very low in ideation. But if I have a good idea, activate, maximize, achieve at the highest level. You just get results. That's all that matters at the highest level is results. No excuses.
This is it. We're going to go. So today on the Winners Find a Way show, if this is your first time here, this is a show regarding adversity, challenge. If you have ever faced stiff adversity and challenge, felt like losses are mounting, and you need to find a better way, I think you came to the right place, whether you're already an entrepreneur, athlete, business leader, or just looking to start your way and journey unto being elite. This is the perfect show and podcast for you. I welcome you and Justin to bring him in. Like you just heard a little bit from Justin. He is no BS, man. So when you're CEO of BR Epic Communications, BR Epic Network, author of the #1 international best-selling book, Epic Business, extremely active member of Strategic Coach, 10X, and Abundance 360 Summit. Talk to me about the book. How many years ago did you write that now? And how long have you been active behind Epic?
Yeah, so thank you. My wife, who's a pediatrician, she'd probably be #1 in empathy. She's taught me how to say thank you. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
You know, yeah, right. Yeah, most people do. I don't really care, but most people do. So she taught me how to do that. But they wrote the book in May of 2020, heart of COVID. And most people write books and they're totally meaningless because there's no meaning behind it, because I'm activate, maximize, achieve, and very low in ideation. But if I have a good idea, I get to activate and maximize, achieve. So it's an international bestseller in 6 countries. Chris Voss, who wrote Never Split the Difference, one of the top business books in the last 20 years, did the foreword, and it's a key that opens up endless doors. So people, they can't picture being Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, and they can't even fathom that, but they can picture being someone like me, where you make as much money as you want to, you see your family and friends whenever you want to, you do what you like to do and what you're good at, but they don't know how to do it. So the book is like step by step. This is how I did this with zero business background, zero, in a couple of years. And now I only work with the top people on the planet, or the ones who will make the investment to become those people, period.
Yep. Love it, Justin. All right, BR Communications. It's guided by you. 20 plus years in the media business. You're a former journalist. right? Is that
Yep.
like a recovering journalist, or what does he mean by former journalist?
Yeah, so I'm an entrepreneur who happens to be a journalist. I was never a journalist. I just didn't know I was an entrepreneur who happens to be a journalist until I started this. And so journalists who are journalists have no idea what I'm talking about. PR firm owners have no idea what I'm talking about, but entrepreneurs who happen to be journalists just do. So I'm still a journalist. Stories my firm does now are exactly the same that I wrote when I was a journalist. I never understood if it bleeds, it leads. That I don't understand negative news. So the stories I did as a journalist are about cool, inspirational people changing the world. And that's the stories my firm does now. No deviation.
Excellent. I love it. When you said to me, like, you changed this because you said something interesting I heard. The PR firms were just mucking it up. Like you knew there were a better way, annoying. How did you change that?
I'm 100% simplifier, meaning like my brain, I just have an ability to see patterns in the world and see how things work. And I simplify everything into patterns. And so the formula for creating a successful global company is very simple, very, very simple. Is you see a problem, create solution, problem solve, successful global company. So you see a problem, create solution, problem solve, successful global company. So I was a journalist for 20 years and created my entire business model based on how PR firms annoyed me for 20 years. I don't know what PR firms do other than annoy journalists. So created a solution to that problem. Company's entire process solution is on the website. There's no tricks. There's no gimmicks. There's what my company does. Here you go. No competition, only collaboration. So solve the problem. And since it solves the problem, clients around the world, all verticals, any company size, from solopreneurs to companies as big as Allstate, that's totally meaningless. My company just solves the problem. I just only partner with people who are visionaries, who live in abundance and look at things as investments, not costs. So there's no what do you cost or charge. There's no nickel and dime nonsense. There's what does an investment with you look like? So it eliminates all the nonsense that most people are dealing with. I just focus on the people that will actually do something about it and make the investment. Period.
I love it. Here's one thing most people don't know about you is that you're not afraid to get up and belt out the Canadian anthem. Talk to me about that.
Well, I was a sports editor for 15 years, and hockey's probably still is my favorite sport. My company's been in the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. I talk to more Canadians than Chicagoans, and I just think it's a tremendous national anthem. It's easier to sing than the American one for sure, and I like to sing sometimes, so it's a good song to sing at games.
All right, let me jump in on your socks. Your sock's going to be okay as we sit today, as we record this show today. Everyone will hear it a little bit later, but as we record this show, your socks are down 2-1 here in the first round of the Stros. Are you going to get it done?
Yeah, so at the start of the series, I said Astros in 4, and I'm sticking with that. And I thought the Sox would win Game 3, just like they did in 2008, where they lost the first 2 in Tampa, won Game 3, and then lost Game 4. So I think that. And it's funny because I was at Game 3. That was a great atmosphere. I left in the 6th inning because I'm like, I don't really care about this stuff anymore that much. It was fun to go, but it was like the longest 9-inning game ever. And I'm just like, I just want to get home and be with my family. My point is, I really don't care. It's fun to be at it, but it's like, it's not life or death. And I see a lot of folks who don't have meaning in their own lives, and then they have to find something else to find meaning. I created my own purpose and my own meaning, so I don't need to follow baseball to really care that much about finding purpose and meaning.
Got it. All right. Love it. So Justin, let's talk a little bit. Let's bump in. I asked you wrote this book, Epic Business, which is fabulous, and international bestseller. So people are loving this. 6 countries are like booming, right? Let's talk about, I asked you to come on a show. Winners find a way. Why do you come on and share your story? What's important to you to get through?
Well, I appreciate you asking that. You've been in Major League Baseball before, and I was a sports editor for 15 years and journalist for 20. And so we're both around the highest achieving people. And again, I'm a simplifier and see patterns. So there's only 2 commonalities I see between the highest performing athlete, musician, actor, entertainer, entrepreneur. There's only 2 commonalities in those folks. One is they have the same mindset. They have abundance, visionary, investment mindset. So that's one. And 2, they've had at least one person, doesn't have to be a family member, but at least one person who actually cares about them. I have not met someone at the highest level who has not had at least one person really care about them. If there is that person, I'd like to meet them, actually. And then I haven't met someone at the highest level who doesn't have abundance, visionary, investment mindset, because you just can't get to the highest level if you look at things as costs. But you can't. And if you don't live in abundance, you can't live in abundance. And if you're not a visionary, you can't have a vision. So I haven't found any at the highest level that don't have that mindset and then don't have at least one person. So
That's awesome. I tell you, I think it's interesting. And I will tell you, and this brings me to a story about baseball, right? Which is, Justin, people ask me all the time, who's the best player you ever coached. And I'd like to go back on that now, because I tell them, a lot of people, I tell them, you don't know them. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, the best skilled person was that AA player that came along, but couldn't get life together, couldn't understand
100%.
that vision, right? And I
100%.
wonder, looking back, I mean, I'd like to test that going back against them. And I would bet that 50% of those people probably did not have that third quality. They may have not had an actual person in their life that actually cared about them.
You think that's the differentiator? That's interesting. So you think they had the mindset, but not the person. I think they had the person, but they didn't have the full mindset. That's an interesting take by you.
I'm saying that I wonder, I would like to audit that, right, to find out. But my guess is that there's some percentage, and my bet is it's close to 50. I'm clear that the mindset was not there on probably the majority. So if I said it was 40,
right.
But I do wonder that someone who grows up without that accountability and care from someone, or that, hey, I want to make you proud, dad, grandfather, grandma,
right.
Like, this is someone, you've always cared for me, and I care what you think, and I'll do it for you. You know, like,
100%.
Yeah, I wonder what the numbers are, because the fallout is large, Justin. There's quite a spectrum of talent that fell out, and it was not due to the fact that they did not have major league ability, if that's fair.
I think on your site it says you work with 1%. I work with the 0.1%, so 1 out of 1,000, because 1 out of 1,000 have abundance and visionary investment mindset, because I just see the patterns on things, and most of my life is talking to the world's top entrepreneurs, so I hear the same thing over and over. And so why do I only partner with the 0.1%? Because those are the people that are actually going to do something and create the technologies and companies that employ everyone else. So I can't help 999 out of 1,000, but I can help the 1 out of 1,000 that helps everyone else. That's how I help the world, and I have endless empathy for that 0.1%, because I know without exception what it takes to get there. Because those people will never make excuses. They'll make the investment. There are no excuses at the highest level, only investment. So if somebody complains about, you're too expensive or what, I go, not in my tribe. Find someone else. See you later. And all that does is attract the top people on the planet and repels everyone else.
I love that. And I love this. So in the quote by Sean Covey and Chris McChesney from the book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution, right? Influential book. I thought it was really good. And one of the quotes that came out of that, winners, when shown data that they are losing, find a way to win.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So most people make excuses. Right. Most people make excuses their whole life. People at the highest level figure it out.
That's right. That's one of the big 4 losing qualities. Number 1 is they are going to make an excuse. Number 2, they are going to blame. Number 3, they are going to quit because it's too hard. And number 4 is they are going to ignore that data.
So again, I'm very low on ideation, almost dead last. But if I have a good idea, or if someone says a good idea, I know immediately and then activate, maximize, achieve. So I see the data and I'm like, just get it done. I mean, I started my first company with 0 business background, 0. I still have no idea what an S Corp is. I didn't know you had to pay taxes 4 times a year. I had no idea. I went to school to be a journalist. They don't even know entrepreneurial classes at all. And so now I have one global company that only works with the top people on the planet, or the ones who will make the investment. And then I just launched a second one that'll be 100x of what this one is. It's just a platform technology for my brain. So because all I do is I see the patterns. And so I have not met one entrepreneur at the highest level. I'm not talking nickel and dime businesses. I'm not talking regular humans. I'm talking about entrepreneurs at the highest level that have not overcome at least one of the following 4 things. Most are 2 or 3. The all 4 ones are really successful. So this is what separates entrepreneurs like me from everyone else. So the 4 things are bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, 2, depression, 3, the highest level of anxiety you can imagine, and 4, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. So most people use those as excuses their entire life, their whole life. Entrepreneurs at the highest level, figure it out. That's it. I mean, that's entrepreneur life.
I laugh
we can keep talking, but that's it. So people think this life is sunshine and rainbows. It's the opposite of that.
It's funny because I laugh about that because, and I don't know, I don't think it's funny, but as I look at this, I'm thinking at some level, I've been through all 4 of those, right? And
so I always say that, and people are not. They go, yep. And the all 4 ones are really successful. And I've been 3. And to simplify my simplification, if people could see this great. If they can't, I'll talk through it. But I think you have to understand to be down here to be up there. I have not met anyone at the highest level. Again, I'm not talking nickel and dime businesses. I'm not talking about regular humans that hasn't overcome at least one of those. And most are 2 or 3. And there's a lot of all 4s, but most are 2 or 3. And in the groups I'm in, most of the folks, not all, most of them are running 7, 8, 9, 10-figure businesses.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of all four. Yeah, just all fours that don't make excuses. And I have no tolerance for excuses because I'm dead last in empathy and I'm second to last in includer. Because at the highest level, you don't make excuses. You know, people like that don't make excuses. They just figure it out.
So I want to know if I qualify for all four. Been through the traumatic as a kid, abused, anxiety.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times. Depression, been there. And bankruptcy, I served a company for my mentor, and the whole company went bankrupt, and I was an officer in the company. And so I was the workout guy and one of the last 7 standing, right? So fired people that had been in the company for over 40 years, and it was awful. It was one of the, and I think, by the way, you talk about highlighting your anxiety, right? Like that was the first time I'd ever actually, I think, really felt the highest levels of anxiety, like polarizing type of anxiety.
Polarizing. So most let the polarizing paralyze them. You didn't. So that's what I mean. Most people let that paralyze them their whole lives. And, you know, again, I started my first company after my job salary was cut in half, couldn't find a job. So I incorporated. That was April 16th, 2017 when I incorporated. So nearing the 4.5-year mark during this interview here. And so while I was working full time and half the salary, reached out to 5,000 people to find my first 5 clients. So 1 out of 1,000 said yes. So just like I work with 0.1% now, it's a different 0.1% now, but it was 0.1% that said yes then. And most people can't do that. So got the 5th client, resigned the next day, and then Robert Feeder, he's the top media columnist in the Midwest of the United States, did a story. I had to start my own firm. So that was just to start it. Most people cannot do that. They can't, because if most people could do that, they would. If most people could choose to live the life they want and make as much money and partner with the top people on the planet, they would do that. They just can't overcome those 4 things. They can't do it.
Do you have all 4?
So the 3, the only thing I've never had to worry about, knock on wood, is bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. But my father died when I was 13. Youngest brother died of a drug overdose when he was 29. Certainly depression, and then highest level of anxiety when you get your job salary cut in half and you can't find a job and you have 2 sons that are under the age of 3. That's a pretty good formula, but okay, figure it. And 0 business background, 0.0. So, okay, figure it out.
So let's talk about jump into the kid. I mean, pretty impactful moment, right? Father at 13, that's crazy, right? That most people cannot even imagine that. And I can't either. My father just passed 3 years ago, and it was hard when I was 48 years old, you know, like, and so the most impactful pivot point you had as a kid, did you know at this point, like, hey, I'm going to go on and I'm going to help these elite performers, the 0.1% of all these people. Did you know that when you were 17?
You know, it's a fair question. And I would say for like a normal child, it would be a more fair question, but I just come from a unique situation, meaning my father was 61 when I was born. So he'd be 105 if he was alive now. So he died when he was 74 when I was 13. And my father came from nothing. He came from nothing. Was a World War II hero, shot down 8 times in combat, many times without a parachute, became an attorney in the Nuremberg trials. So this was not a normal father-son situation. And so I got about 8 good years of him, meaning like when I was between 5 and 13. And so he would always say the cream rises to the top. So I only partner with the cream that rises to the top, the ones that'll make the investment. But to answer your question, no, I mean, I had no idea what an entrepreneur was, but I was never meant to be a journalist who's a journalist. I was always born to be this person. And so, you know, I have my father's bloodline, and then my mom was 27 when I was born, so 34-year difference. And when my dad was in his late 50s, a drunk driver hit him head on. Drunk driver killed instantly. Dad broke every bone in his body. You survived because you don't make excuses. And then my mom was his nurse. So my mom literally nursed him back to health. And so most of my day, not all, but most of my days talking to the world's top entrepreneurs, like the top people on the planet. And I've never met anyone in my life with more hustle than my mom ever. Like she's the ultimate survive and thrive, the ultimate survive and thrive. So I'm just a combination of that. So I'm just genetically capable of doing this. And I found out I was capable of doing this after my job salary was cut in half. I didn't think I had anything in common with my mom. And okay, now I just get my hustle from her. My dad is crazy hustle, nothing compared to my mom, nothing.
Isn't that amazing? Now, all that time, like you saw her hustling as a kid, like you go through this. Did you think just like, yeah, whatever, mom, like, yeah, she just gets stuff done, like whatever. She's got a doctorate in GSD, but you know, oh, that's stupid. You're working too hard. You're doing this. What was your position till all of a sudden you realize, wow, like I can do it just like she did?
Yeah, you know, you analyze things differently than most of the folks I talk to. It's really interesting to me. I did not think like that at all. Literally, the only thing I thought I had in common with my mom before I started my entrepreneurship life, 6 days after I turned 40, 44 now. But literally, the only thing I thought I had in common with her is that we both like butter and milk and ice cream. Other than that, I thought I had nothing. So no, I didn't. Yeah, like dairy products. But no, then I just like, oh, so as a journalist, I had a massive following. Now it's bigger, but as a journalist, I had a big following. So I just reached out to thousands of those people when I was working full time and half the salary. And that's just like, oh, that's just my mom. I mean, my mom's youngest son died of a drug overdose. That, my mom family, her growing up, it's the ultimate, that my mom is functional in any capacity it's incredible at the highest level. And so I just get that from her.
I mean, your mom, do you have, as an entrepreneur now for 4 years, having wild success, which I think you can attribute some to your mom, of course. I mean,
yeah.
Do you look at your mom and go, damn, what an overcomer?
Well, my mom and I, we don't talk much, meaning like we're just like very different people.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I thanked her at my new company launch party. Thanked her because like, listen, my dad died when I was 13. She had 3 children under the age of 13 and under. And we all went to college. We all graduated. And then my youngest brother died when he was 29. Most parents, that would cripple them forever. And my mom is a tremendous she is a tremendous grandmother, tremendous. And so I thanked her because like she can do that. I can start a company with zero. That's starting a company with zero business background. Now having one global company, that's nothing compared to losing your husband with 3 little kids and then losing your youngest son. That's nothing compared to that. That's what I mean. Like, and you were talking about earlier, like, I'm not going to blow this for my family and then for my parents. My dad came from nothing, shot down 8 times in combat, came from nothing. And I'm not going to screw it up. I'm just not going to, that's really the motivation. I'm not going to blow it for my parents and I'm not going to blow it for my wife and my 2 kids. I won't do it. So people don't understand that unless they hear that, because it's a way bigger thing than me. I'm not going to let these people down. I won't do it. Unacceptable. Not at making excuses for myself, but certainly not for them either. No way.
All right, let's talk about you for a second, man. Because you told me a couple stories about your mom and your dad up against it and overcame. How about you? What about a time you were down and out and thinking, I don't know if I can do this. Do I have what it takes? All the questions we ask ourselves in imposter syndrome, right? Is I don't know if I got it. Tell me a time that you were and what you did about it and how you turned it around.
Again, that's another good question. It's really interesting how your brain thinks and you see the things. And again, I think normally that would be an even better question, but I'm an alien even among aliens that are entrepreneurs. So what does that mean? Most entrepreneurs like us are very low. There's a thing called Gallup or Clifton Strength Finders. So most entrepreneurs at the highest level are actually very low in self-assurance. So they have imposter syndrome. Yeah. I am incredibly high. I'm very high in self-assurance. I don't have imposter syndrome at all. No imposter syndrome. And people with the wrong mindset think that comes off as arrogant. And people at the highest level just know that it's extreme confidence. And all my extreme confidence does is attract other confident people, and it repels arrogant people. That's really interesting. So if arrogant people think I come off as arrogant, confident people love my confidence. And it's a fascinating thing to see those patterns over and over and over. And all it does is attract the top people on the planet that'll make the investment, and it repels people who are arrogant that will make excuses. It happens time and time and time again.
Man, that's interesting, right? Do you know the Johari Window?
No, but please explain that, because I like learning stuff like
So the Johari Window is about our, it's basically a matrix of 2 things, right? Which is others and me. And what it is in that top right quadrant is, known things. Like I know things about Justin knows things about me. It's known, right? And then there's things to me that's hidden, right? I don't tell people about, I don't jump into the Starbucks and go, hey, when I was a kid, I was abused and I'll take a vanilla latte. We don't jump in with the hidden with people. And then there's the unknown, where others don't know this about me. I don't know this about me, but there's this one category in that top left, right? That's others know this about me, but I don't know this about myself. So one of the things that's very interesting is that I tell the story a lot about a good friend of mine coming to me at 17, being a pretty good athlete and being confident. And he just said, arrogance off the charts with you, and everybody else sees it. It's overconfidence. And I was like, no, man, this is just confidence. No. I believe in my ability. And we argued it out. Now, listen, if some person on the street just comes to me and says, hey, I think you're an arrogant a-hole, right? I probably like, yeah, whatever. right? But if it's a close friend who's known me a long time, I got to consider that, right? Like maybe I don't know this about me. Now I'm rethinking all that because, when you say that, like, it's like, wait a minute, I just feel confident. And people who are in doubt about that and they're making excuses, and maybe they're
That's
just
right.
okay.
They're just taking out, right. They're projecting. That's really all it is. So the unknown is like quadrant or, square. So that's, I think my greatest superpower is I see the patterns and I actually answer questions before they're asked with people. So like I just did with you there, like I didn't know that story, but I did because you're just confident. You're not arrogant. And people who are arrogant or they don't understand confidence think it comes off as arrogant. That's just all it is. And so most of my days talking to the top people on the planet, and I just see the same patterns over and over and over and over. And to dovetail that, I will activate those patterns because I'm activate, maximize, achieve. I'm not ideation. I'm not an overthinker. I don't need to feel anything. I'm dead last and I'm dead last.
Yeah.
So I just do it. And then there's an unconscious motivators test called PRINT, PRINT. Because to your point, most people see the tip of the iceberg. They don't see the under the water, your unconscious motivators. So my 2, I'm an 8-3 in PRINT, 8-3. And so 8 is to be strong and self-reliant, and 3 is to succeed and achieve. So there's no, I want a perfect world. There's no, everything needs to be perfect and right. There's no, I need to be appreciated by other people. It's no, get it done. And again, I'm in Strategic Coach, which I'm very confident saying it's the top entrepreneurial group in the world. I'm very confident saying that. And the highest level of Strategic Coach is called the free zone. To land the plane for a second, it's $50K a year. I'll be in that eventually. I'm literally not allowed to join it yet because you have to be in the program a certain amount of years. But I will. And at that level, the overwhelming majority of the folks at that level are 8-3 prints like me because they're strong and self-reliant and succeed and achieve. They don't need to think about it. They don't need to feel it. They're just going to do it. And people who do it, get it done. They change the world.
Hate the crappy ingredients in many beverages and energy drinks? Rebellious Infusions are the go-to functional beverage. They have 5 or fewer plant-based organic ingredients, no sugar, no calories, loaded with antioxidants to boost your immune system, and L-theanine for brain health. Rebellious Infusions are available at drinkrebellious.com. Rethink your drink. For 10% off of your next purchase, use the code 99999. Thank you for listening to the Winners Find a Way show and podcast. Trent, together with the leaders who shared their learning and experiences through this show, are grateful for allowing them to help and support you on your journey to becoming your best. Write a review, rate us 5 stars, and share this episode to your network.